how college costs change once they transfer to the university level. So the costs that we're going to be talking about in this episode, we're going to cover cost of tuition, which is the cost of your classes, only your classes. There are also books and fees that we'll talk about, housing, transportation, and actually applying to the universities. There are fees involved. As a comparison, we're going to compare costs of education at MCC versus the Arizona public universities and one of the private universities. So we've looked at Arizona State University, or ASU, University of Arizona, U of A, and Northern Arizona University, NAU, as well as Grand Canyon University. That's the private one, GCU. Talia and Victor, what colleges are you planning to transfer to?
So for me, the option that I know for sure I'm going to apply, it's for ASU, but also I would like to try in California. My major is sustainability and they have really good programs over there.
Okay, and Victor?
Well, since my pursued degree is marketing and finance, my goal is to go out of state and go to University of Pennsylvania, or if not that, New York University. And let's just say like I don't make it or the costs are too much because it's out of state, then I'm gonna go with my comfort zone.
Yeah.
It'll be ASU or GCU, one of those two.
So at MCC, in-state tuition costs about $2,300 per year, and that's just tuition. And then out-of-state and international tuition for a year is right around $9,000 per year. So listeners, for tuition, keep those costs in mind. Let's talk about tuition first. Where are you at as far as what you pay for tuition at MCC? Are you in-state? Are you out-of-state? Are you international?
Well, I am an international student, so for me it's gonna be fees involved because it's like you are paying an extra for your insurance and you are paying an extra like an outstate fee. So for me it's around 9,000 and 10,000 per year.
For me, it's in-state, and the cost is between 2,000 and 3,000, somewhere there.
For the public universities in Arizona, so ASU, U of A, and NAU, overall, the base tuition cost is about $11,000 per year if you are in-state. If you are out-of-state student, the estimated cost is about $30,000 per year. For international students, it's about $34,000 a year. At the private university, GCU, it's about $16,500 per year. And from our research, we found that it's probably about the same for out-of-state and international students.
Yeah, it's the same because as a private institution, they have the same price for credit.
I mean, the cost difference between those is about 9,000. I mean, specifically, it's like 8,700. So that's a good amount of money.
Yeah,
that's added on.
Also, something to point out about this is that for international students, it's actually a better deal if you go to a private school, to a private university, because you will be paying less than if you pay the full tuition at a public school.
You're looking at, 3 to almost 5 times as much, depending on where you go. All right, our next thing that we're going to talk about is books and fees. Talia and Victor, right now, each year, about how much are you paying in books and other fees, like lab fees and that kind of thing?
Well, for me, during the first 2 semesters, I didn't need to pay anything. All my classes were like low fee or cost less. Mm-hmm. Right now, in my 3rd semester that I'm doing labs and other elective classes that are more specific for my major, I was required to pay around 150 for books and supplies.
And Victor, how about you?
Well, per semester it's about 2 to 3 classes I have to pay for books, and the other classes I don't really have to because they're either for free or they just don't come with books. But it's about like 200, 300.
All right, so maybe like $600 a year.
Yeah, about there. Yeah.
Another fact to consider is also your application fees. Every university has different, but just so you know, there are some resources out there that are willing to pay those fees. The one that I've been more close to is HSI, who are the Hispanic organization.
HSI stands for Hispanic Serving Institution.
Right, and they offer scholarship for paying those application fees for you. So definitely contact them.
Okay. From our research that we did at all three public universities and GCU, the private university, the estimated annual book cost is about $1,000. So about $1,000 a year. Other fees, lab fees, the registration fees, all of those added up run around $2,000 per year. Okay, housing. So for housing, one of the first decisions that you have to make is, am I going to live at home or am I going to live on campus or am I going to live off campus? What are your plans? Are you planning to live on campus, off campus, at home, or you're not sure yet?
Well, I spent my first year here in Arizona in a homestay, but I really wanted to look for my own apartment. So I become kind of an expert in this topic because I now I know which questions I should be doing for the leasing office and everything. So if any of our listeners wants more information, you can definitely reach out to me, and I will give you my tips at least. Well, and for this second year, I was looking for an apartment that was close to MCC, and my plan is to transfer to ASU. So I was looking for a location that was in the middle. So I finally got it, and right now I'm paying 800 without utilities, plus utilities is about 850
Per month?
per month for one room and one bath.
And do you have roommates?
Yes, I do. I have two roommates, and the apartment is 3 beds, 2 baths, so they are sharing a bathroom. So because of that, their rooms are cheaper. So it's another thing that you can consider, that most of the apartments, a master room and rooms that share bathroom. And if you are willing to share a bathroom, you will be paying less than the person that is taking the master room.
Victor, what about you for transferring to university? What are your plans for housing? Do you have any yet?
I mean, if it's in state, I'm gonna probably stay at my parents' house, save money. But if it's out of state, like I plan to, I'll probably look for apartments there. They'll probably be way more cheaper than getting a dorm. But if there's none cheaper, then I'll just go with the dorm.
Let's take a look at some numbers for housing. So off-campus rent right now, anyway, in Arizona, we're looking at a range for about $1,000 to $2,000 per month. That greatly depends on your location, the size of the rented space. Many of these places, utilities are such as water and electricity are not included with the rent cost.
Yeah, also you need to consider if you want a laundry on the unit or outside of the unit.
From the research that the three of us did, we actually found that living on campus can be actually fairly similar in price depending on how many bedrooms and roommates you would have in a dorm, or sometimes they have even apartments that are on campus. The difference is a lot of times utilities are included in that cost. The cost of living in a dorm ranges from about $800 per month to $1,200 per month on average.
I would like to mention that most of the times on the dorms, you are sharing your bedroom. So just consider that. Also look at if the building have kitchens.
There are pros and cons to living on campus and off campus. When I lived on campus at NAU, I found that I didn't drive as much. So the cost of transportation went down for me. It was easy to participate in campus activities because I was right there on campus. Everything was within walking distance. And the dorm rooms came furnished, right? I had a bed, I had a desk, a chair. There was a sink in my dorm room. And then I had the one roommate. So, and we each got that bed, desk, and chair. Now, I also lived off campus. I lived in an apartment. My transportation costs got higher because I tended to drive more often. I had 3 roommates instead of just one in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. My rent was really cheap because of that. When determining whether you live on campus or off campus, you have to kind of weigh those. I'm glad that I experienced both. I think if I had to do it again, Honestly, I probably would live on campus just because you're right there in the mix of everything, considering that the costs are fairly similar too.
What you did, yeah, I recommend for all of the students that are looking for live out of campus and starting to rent an apartment, go to all of the Facebook groups or marketplace that you can go, so you can get really cheap furniture if that's what you're looking for.
Next is parking. All right, Natalia and Victor, how much do you pay to park at MCC?
None.
Well, for me, I take the bus, so I definitely don't need to pay anything about that.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about the Maricopa Community Colleges, the parking and MCC. It's free parking everywhere, which is really nice. Transferring to university, if you're going to have a car and you're going to be parking it, whether it's you're living off campus and driving to campus, parking that car so that you can go to class, or you're living on campus and you need to park near your dorm, you're going to pay for it. In our research, it looks like a yearly parking permit at all the universities that we're comparing to costs runs from $225 all the way up to $800 per year. You do have other options. You could walk to class. You could bicycle to class. You could use public transportation. And then food. We have the cost of food. Now, universities have meal plans where it's basically a prepaid account. And then you get access to dining on campus. A lot of times there's limits on like how often you can use this card. It's often limited to a certain number of swipes per week. And the more access that you have, or the more places, more dining options, more swipes per week that you have on the card, the meal plan is more, gets to be a little bit more expensive. Annual plans, so cost per year for a meal plan at the university, ranges from $3,000 to $6,000 depending on the plan that you choose. You do not have to have a meal plan at the university.
I love to cook, so I do it often, and also I have like kind of an arrangement with my roommates to cook on specific days. So let's say I know that Thursday I will be really tired because I'm going home after a class or after a lot of activities. So my roommates know that, and they are willing to cook a little bit more for me, so I don't do it that day, and the next day I will be doing the same for them.
So deciding whether or not to purchase a meal plan really depends on your preferences. When I went to NAU, I had the lowest cost meal plan when I was living on campus and off campus, because on days I had classes, I was all over the place on that campus, and I didn't have time to run back to my dorm or my apartment to cook. So on those days, it was just easier to pick something up from the dining hall. But then when I wasn't running all over the place, I made my own food at my apartment. To our listeners, if you decide to take on a meal plan, just make sure you understand how the meal plan works before you purchase it. So with all this said and done, I do not want our listeners to think, oh my gosh, these numbers are huge. This cost is big. I'm not going to transfer to a university. That's not the intention of this. We just want you to be aware how the costs change. And this is also one of the reasons why we say if you're going to transfer to a university, wait to do the student loans. If you need to take out loans, wait until you go to the university level, just because the costs are much bigger. Estimated cost of attendance, grand totals per year at the universities. These numbers are not set in stone. You can do different things to lower the costs. From our research, in-state students will pay about $33,000 per year. Out-of-state students will pay about $42,000 per year, and international students will pay about $55,000 per year. Of course, this all depends on where you go, if you choose to have a meal plan or not, where you're going to be living, what your major is, and what kind of materials and other fees that you need to pay for are. Just keep that in mind. We also want to mention that MCC has bachelor's degrees right now. So you can get a 4-year degree at community college costs. MCC currently has data analytic and programming bachelor degree and an early childhood education dual language bachelor degree. Other Maricopa community colleges have bachelor degrees for elementary education, information technology or IT, nuclear medicine, technology, public safety administration, behavioral science, and nursing are coming in fall of 2025. So completing a bachelor degree at a community college would mean you'd pay only a third of the tuition cost of a university. And parking is always free. And some people may be concerned that if they get a bachelor degree from a community college and then they are interviewing, that they may be concerned that the employer may look at this like, you got a bachelor's degree from a community college, and are concerned that that may not seem as prestigious as going to a university. Talking from my experience anyway, oftentimes employers are looking more for what can you bring to the table. So it's really important to get involved and build experience in the field of work you are interested in by joining clubs, doing internships, service learning, volunteering, or just being involved with extracurricular activities. Great. Okay, so now, knowing these numbers, how are you feeling about them?
I will say it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming?
Yeah, for me, it was something to consider even before coming here.
Mm-hmm.
That after 2 years, what are you gonna do?
Right.
So that's why I choose Arizona to start my college education, because it's a really good state that they have a good culture of offering help to international students. If you find the right resources, you can feel better.
I mean, it's kind of a shocking realization that how expensive it is.
Mm-hmm.
And as years pass by, it's going to get even more expensive.
Also, well, for me, I see it as an investment. I think there's nothing better than get a good education and take advantage of that education. So I'm not just looking for good universities. For me, it's all about what other experience I can get from the university, because that's part of your tuition. That's what you are paying for all of the resources that they have.
Education after community college is more expensive, but don't give up. We are here to help. And you can still be financially savvy when you transfer to a university. One of the best investments you can make is investing in yourself, like Natalia said, by obtaining an education. Okay. Applying for scholarships while you're in college is very helpful, because that can reduce costs of tuition, books, living expenses, as well as filling out the FAFSA each year. The FAFSA helps determine what kind of financial aid you qualify for. And oftentimes with scholarships, they look to, you are required to fill out the FAFSA in order to apply for the scholarships. We hope you enjoyed today's podcast about cost of transferring to university on this episode of College Cash Corner. Before we go, we want to emphasize that the financial literacy team is here to provide support and guidance to MCC students on their journey to improving and maintaining their financial knowledge. You can find us on MCC's financial aid website by clicking on the financial literacy section on the left side. There you can schedule a one-on-one appointment with a peer mentor if you have questions or want personal support with your financial goals, access a free cash course account, stay informed about upcoming workshops and events, and explore additional financial information. Remember, financial literacy is key to achieving your goals, and we're here to provide you with the knowledge, resources, and tools you need. Until next time, take control of your finances and make your college dreams a reality.